What about these as a concern or a strict measure of national security? It's all going to become apparent, really, for people on how people have, because their plan. You must realise, people out there which haven't got a clue, that these are depths that are far beyond anyone's comprehension in normal mainstream run-of-the-mill normal life. Yeah, this is the reason why it's occult knowledge. People think, oh, so what? I know everything, me. I'm fucking, what is there isn't to know? And it's like, well, these things are so close. That's the thing. It's like these techniques are so close to what you think may be, and it's their similarity which kind of keeps them from being really finger pointed out. So I gathered this years ago. Whether you think that I'm bragging or not, I don't care, but I did anyway, and I began to expose it and watch these people who are real people, flesh and blood, like me and you or anyone else watching this video. They're very much flesh and blood, as in like human, not they've really polluted the swamp in it with shit like reptilian DNA and insectoid and all this shit. It's like, because when you do see the clarity, you do see through the bullshit, and it is really quite remarkable and incredible how not only people were fooled by it, but because when you can see it, it's just so apparent. It's ridiculous. And this is another thing they use as well, because obviously if this becomes majorly apparent to someone, it's going to really do them in, especially when they try and tell anyone about it. That's when the pain really strikes. And guess what, people? Yeah, that's what I've been doing. Yeah, that's right, over the past good few years anyway, good number of years. People have got the videos to see that I have, so there's no reason why you shouldn't believe that. These are psychological tactics which have been used time and time again. They're really cheap and nasty, very easy to spot. I've got to say, they don't really work on anything particularly cutting edge. They really don't. The people have to realise this. And, people get scared into thinking that this and that's going to happen to them if they do this and that. I'm the living proof that it doesn't. Right? Whether you like to believe that or not, because today is like 5th of March 2020, yeah? I'm still alive here in my place, right? The place where it all began, kind of. Where this demonstration began, at least. Yes, very much so. It was initiated right at this point, right at that point. That's the one. Remember, people? Do you remember all those years ago? Pre-dreadlocks. And doesn't anyone out there find it fascinating, or at least in some way quite intriguing, how someone can go about saying all this? Don't worry, I've got my thread. And where was I? And not come into any major trouble from all the people that threaten with their stealthy ways. Because these people are, honestly, they're basically soul suckers. You will notice that anyone who works closely with the NSA. Well, they obviously have to keep up something. They're instructed to do that, and that may well be not to disregard, but to actually go along with, as in like not an enemy. That's very much their plan. I mean, when you realise these tactics that they use, that they're really quite simple, and they're used all the way through the CIA and everything. So, I mean, it's not necessarily, these people, these anthropologists, it's not them. It's not necessarily them, but they have a big part in it, of course. They're the worst, as in like the best. As in they were the ones which fuck up the most, I gotta say, because they're not really trained in any of this psych shit. They just pay for the lesson and then think that they're some sort of like superhuman intelligence agent out to save the world, sort of thing. Well, that's what they dupe themselves with anyway, and because they're so weak and pathetic. It's cringeworthy, when you see that the mistakes that they make all along the way, which they've left breadcrumbs as well, massive ones, big fuck off massive ones. This is funny. We've all left breadcrumbs basically, and these breadcrumbs will be the only thing to believe. These breadcrumbs are within your own life, within each and every one of our own lives. The breadcrumbs which indicate that there is a very sneaky mechanism at work. Well, was at work. I'm trying to get people's attention to realise this, that it's been nailed. Yeah, so don't worry, people. It's like there's nothing to worry about anyway. It's like because it's already been done, right? That's what I don't get. People just don't want to fucking look. But the thing is, you don't have to really fucking pull out anything or do anything. Because it's already been done, people. Yes? And once you realise that, you will realise the position that you're in. And I tell you what, it gives you a lot more clarity. And you will notice that every step of the way, you get more and more clarity. It's like what I said, that things have not become more confusing for me, or disjointed, or vague, anything. Everything has got really, really, really strong. Now, and is my reason in the first place of doing this, and also how it affects everyone else. Right? And like these people, they do, because they're so narcissistic, they want to be the most important person in history. That's what they wanted to be, right? So some people were perfect for this job, and we know who they are, and that's what they did. But what people don't realize, because people would be, this is quite close to what I'm doing is quite close to potentially in someone else's eyes who have not quite yet got it, would just simply see me as an attention seeker trying to be important, more important than I am, right? And I don't blame them for thinking that, because I mean everything's designed to be for you to think that way. It's like no big shocker to me. It's when it all becomes revealed, and as I said, it's brutally obvious, really. I mean, people just have to just wind in their necks a bit and critically analyse the situation. This is where critical awareness really does have to come into play, because I mean, they just love people being occupied with anything but this. So anything, literally anything, you name it, anything. anything's good to keep them occupied, keep people occupied. Whether that be like, I don't know if you get much of it anymore, the flat earth shit, and then you got other things and all this and that. Everything to occupy someone, because they cannot even go near being able to comprehend what's going on here. Partly because they can't believe that one person has really dragged them all out, kicking and screaming. And do you know who that is? And I'm not bragging, but it has to be made apparent to everyone that this is what I've done, whether they like this or not. And plus, it's all for the greater good, so please, if you don't like it, you gotta check yourself. You really have. And if you don't, I mean, I'm not going to do anything. You've literally just done it yourself. You've just really just dug yourself that hole really deep, and you ain't getting out. When the mass realization comes into account that this is the case, you will get people very quickly changing their minds. And the ones who don't, unfortunately, are the ones who are lost. And there's no the differentiation or the boundary of where things become right and wrong has not been made clear, really. It's always really sketchy, you know. And it's this case of plausible deniability being one of the main get out sort of squirms. And once you pick up on this and you document this technique being used time and time again, and it's quite easy to see. You don't have to be a psychologist to see this, and you don't have to be anyone with any qualification even. It's so easily recognised once you have the right eyes on you. But people's eyes are absolutely distorted, and their lenses are completely distorted with their sense of self, basically. I mean, that's the fundamental cause of the obstruction why they can't see this, because their self has been governing, and that self thing can be made to do all sorts of things, you know. It's pretty much a malleable program, that self. But like, I'll carry this on in a bit, right? But what I was going to say about the music is how it's going to really inform people, and on all different levels, all different types of music. That's the reason why all different types of music got covered, as in like, not covered as in like copied, but like as in all different genres of music to cater for everyone's taste in a way. If a person likes that particular type of music, and this may seem superficial, especially to them, because they really hate this. They really despise any creativity, especially if it's like etheric type of creativity, like music, which has no beginning or end. Once you create a piece of music, it's available for everyone to explore and to discover. You know, a painting, fair enough. I mean, it's kind of static, isn't it? A painting. But music is different, and it can mean a different thing to everyone, each and every one of us. That's when these meanings consolidate all into one rote of information to fundamentally put into the category, even though people shouldn't categorise. I mean, there's all these things are there to counter, of course. Hubbard was brilliant. Was brilliant at this, at thinking in sneaky, devious ways. And I mean, that's what he did. That's essentially was his job. And of course, he got used in a way to be the front puppet of something, which was far beyond what they proclaimed to be. In their book, and far beyond anyone else's comprehension, who's not part of it, who hasn't paid to get there. Now, these people, because of their ignorance, they really, really show themselves up. And they, because they work outside the law, this is one thing that I do as well. Yeah? And anyone could do this. It's not as if I've got anything special working outside the law. I'm just doing things which I know that would affect them. They're doing things which I know would affect me. Even saying things in conversation. The way you word things, all this type of thing. This is the means of communication. Because I don't get any other communication. I don't get any real communication one-to-one. Ever. I've not had any. Of anyone. You know, out there. So, it's really obvious for people to see. And, no stress on my behalf, you know, chilled me. I'm just, I'm just hoping that people will kind of get this and start realising that it was them, it was their own selves which did this, made this come about, supported it, promoted it, made it paramount for everyone to be abused by. And when everyone realises this, maybe the people themselves who were actively involved, knowingly, whether that be by someone telling them something, as in some sort of command that they followed. I mean, there's no reason why. Say if you're ex-army or ex-military or ex-air force, and you've spent a good few years in that placement of duty, and now so-called ex. Well, these people, and anyone out there who's not an NSA operative, realise that these people are, without a doubt, the number one candidates for becoming agents for national security. We all know that means, isn't it? It's not. It's not national security. Wow. So, and it's quite. I mean, it's quite right. You know, that they will use tactics where, obviously, the person that engages with the person who's being an activist, like me, for instance, would come across as like benevolent. You know, would to them, or try to at least come across either as stupid or no harm. This is ultra sneaky. Very, very. I mean, it's really abusing everyone's energy. It's not only abusing what I'm doing, because you're obviously countering it for some strange reason, but it's abusing your divinity as well, to go along with what someone else has told you to do. And I'm talking to you, anyone out there who may have a slight clue that I'm talking about them. That's right, I'm talking about you. And when all this comes on top, it's amazing how far they go, and they're like kamikazes. They are like kamikazes. They will, because they're not going to hold their hands up and say, okay, all right, okay, I'll be straight with you. People got in contact with me. They said they were historians or anyway, I knew it was in a case of national security. To do what I did, as in ignore everything, do my very best not to let anyone else see what you're doing, and not only that though, but rob loads of information off you. Well, you know, just kind of like nick it off you, put you down whilst I'm doing it, and then put it out there on my own channel whilst I make money. Because that's what's gone on, see. Blatant. People. Blatant. so ridiculously blatant, it's unreal. And it is unreal, because it's nothing. So, anyway, it's first of the day. Good day to you.